And a fine morning to you on this Thursday, the 20th of August. Thanks for joining me again. We're here with another daily dose of reality, and today I want to talk to you all about the art of war. Now, I don't mean a conventional war on your doorstep. I don't mean bombs and bullets. I don't mean nuclear bombs, hydrogen bombs, and all the fear that comes with, excuse me, conventional war that we've all been privy to our entire lives. So from the minute we're born, and I'm speaking to everybody who's watching and listening, you would have witnessed some form of war. Okay, whether that's if you were born in the 80s like me, obviously we had the Falklands War, and then into the 90s you had the Gulf War, Bosnia, Kosovo, Iraq again in 2003, Afghanistan, and the list goes on. Previous to our lifetimes, we're taught all about World War II and World War One and his story at school, and it's really in this later life and through the processes of this grand awakening that everybody's going through that we realize the truths to all of it that we need to feel and that we need to experience to give us a greater understanding of why war takes place. Now, tax, as we know it, was only brought in hundreds of years ago for the purpose of war, to support war. That was the hook and the line, and that has been stamped royally into place ever since and hasn't budged. Just like when they brought in bullshit stamp duty from the French, it's still there and just goes into somebody's pocket, never questioned, never asked. The use of the media, especially, it's easy to project what is going on in the theatre of war. And in war, you actually call it in theatre. It's called an act of war, okay, where thousands and thousands of soldiers are sent to an arena or to a theatre on behalf of a nation, a government, politicians, royal family, and all in the name of democracy, when we actually know that every single war that has been fought has been done so and kept enclosed pretty much in a container, always on sacred land. There's always sacred energy in the vicinity of where a war takes place. So if we look at the smaller wars compared to the First and the Second World War, for example, the war on terror came about as a result of a completely illusional attack on the World Trade Center in 2001. When I first saw it live, September the 11th, 2001, I didn't trust it straight away. It wasn't until my later training that I could actually join the dots. So I was literally joining the army in 2001 at the time that 9/11 happened. So straight away I was like, oh, wow. Like by the time I'd done training and stuff like that, like, I could be going to war. Like, holy shit. Subsequently, a few years out of training, that occurred. However, we've got to look at the bigger picture here. So 9/11 happened on the World Trade Center, which many now know was a result of trying to stop a new fair and financial system coming in that wasn't governed by the Fed, that didn't have nothing to do with IRSs and all this kind of stuff. The World Trade Center on that day was completely taken down with the use of a direct energy weapon being building number 7. So building number 7 in between the towers was the direct energy weapon. It was basically purposely built on an old power station to give it the power it needed to basically be that weapon to cook the 2 towers from the inside. Hence why there was lots of video footage of people throwing themselves out the windows naked because they were literally cooking alive. Nothing to do with illusional planes hitting the building. And then there was explosives rigged, as many of you now know, all the way down top to bottom in that building. Okay, this helped to create, with the heat generated through it, it was the heat from building 7 that has been generated that cooked the building, that allowed the I-beams to melt, because we know that jet fuel doesn't melt them. And also then the explosives aided in the dustification that was created as the buildings quickly fell, right? And you'll remember, for those of you who were alive back then and have a deeper understanding of it, this then started what was called the War on Terror. Okay, so straight away, the name terror, keeping fear in the mind. British and American troops quickly found themselves, and Allied troops quickly found themselves in Afghanistan, in the mountains, especially. Things were found there. And again, it's a clear example of how war is created and then it's contained in a certain area, using the military to retrieve whatever that entity wants to retrieve. Hence why in Iraq in 2003 and in the first Gulf, it was all about trying to steal the gold and surrounding the ancient Stargate, which basically resides in Basra in Iraq. And basically the energy of that goes into Iran. Hence why we're seeing everything with Iran right now, because it's about controlling that Stargate in a positive way. Okay, this is why the Islamic Republic was formed by the CIA in Iran, to create a hotbed of an ideology that is not suitable for humans living on this land. Okay, that hub of the extreme Islamic Republic has obviously spread around the world, and then we, funnily enough, now have Europe, UK, Scandinavia as pretty much the hotbeds for, rapes across the whole of the land. Okay, what happened in Syria, again orchestrated by the West, using foreign fighters to blow up ancient sites in Syria, cause a war, which displaced hundreds of thousands of people to the borders, which then becomes a trafficker's dream. All these people, as you saw from 2010, I think it was onwards, flooding through Europe. The German chancellor at the time, Merkel, was like, yeah, come in, come in, come in. So they basically opened Germany up, the gateway to Central Europe and to the magnetic north in Scandinavia. Hence why Sweden and Denmark and Norway looked like a very different template to what it did pre-2010. Loads of crime, loads of attacks, and basically making people completely low vibe. That is the point. This is part of the art of war. So if you haven't read the book before by Sun Tzu, I really suggest you do, because it was literally freaking written for now. So what happens is, the template of war is often the same, but the battleground is always different. Okay, so the template, the goal, the agenda, what they want to achieve from it is always the same, but the battleground just looks different. Okay, the armies look different. But if you look at it from an eagle eye view, like a bird's eye perspective, it's literally like a giant game of Risk, the old board game. And that's basically what we've been living through. But there's a different type of war than your conventional war that we've been used to our entire lives, where we've been used to the fear of bombs and bullets and the total destruction of countries using fear. And what I actually truly believe is a fake story that's been around our entire lives about the potential use of nuclear weapons. Now, do your own research on this, and this is just my own personal opinion, that I don't think they actually exist in the entirety that we've been led to believe. If you look at Hiroshima, hydrogen bomb, the fallout from that, how obviously the media then was used to show the death, destruction, and the illusion, that's obviously been taught throughout decades in all our school systems. So as a child growing up, you believe that there is a threat of nuclear weapons. Then you put this hand in hand with blaming a particular country. So nothing's changed. World War II, it was all about the Germans. World War One, it was all about the Germans. Why Germany? Well, as I've just explained, Germany is the gateway to the magnetic north. Everything we've seen and witnessed about taking control over the populations of this country has been about attacking and controlling the magnetic north. It's why NATO has expanded its entirety over decades to pretty much be on Russia's doorstep right now. The totally fake, lie, bullshit Novichok example that happened in Salisbury in 2018, if you remember rightly, where a Russian and his daughter were poisoned and they said it was by other Russians, okay, was in Salisbury, of all places, right next to a place called Porton Down, where they have a team of people who not only work with nerve agents, they have a synthetic facility there that produce this shit. All right. So 2018, they already started the propaganda against Russia prior to COVID even becoming a thing. So by the time everyone's heads were all over the place, March 2020, believing there is a virus, so another weapon being used by the deep state, which was just a virus of the mind. It was something that didn't exist. Okay. It forced millions of people to queue up for another one of their weapons, this time a bioweapon. All right. So just like Novichok, a bioweapon. Okay. We had the COVID vaccines, a bioweapon. Okay. And these all work hand in hand to completely control, enslave, dumb down, and eradicate large portions of this planet in key areas. Why do you think that the West have colonized so many countries in Africa, the Caribbean, and across that central line across the world? All right. But yet they're all really poor countries. Yet to work and live, they need to basically be put into a form of slave labor to produce diamonds, products, electronics, basically material items for the West so that we can still function in this prison. Okay. So it doesn't matter whether you live in a shack in Sierra Leone, which I've visited before and seen a lot of this stuff with my own eyes, or you live in a brand new build on an estate. Okay. The concept's still the same. You're being imprisoned through the mind and the body to be disconnected from spirit. So with this art of war, it's something that's been continued through aeons. Okay. And at the same time, we're flooded with pseudoscience, fake history, and systems that have been put in place. Hence why I've drawn this awesome diagram that I probably would have got 1 out of 10 for in art at school. Not going to lie. This is why I've done this diagram today, to show you the current situation, the current battleground, and what we are facing or have faced up until this point. So this is the land here. Okay, this is the land. Here we have ancient technology, so cathedrals, churches, stuff like that, where their design and purpose was many features, but obviously that's why they all have spires, why they all have resonators and cathodes on, etc., all perfectly placed symmetrically all around the building, based on its location and where it is on the grid. Ancient buildings connected to the ether, and the ether here I've designated as this blue dome here. The red dome is the false matrix, the false field that's been placed over us. So just like in the Hunger Games, for those of you who've seen it, when they fire an arrow up and it hits the dome, it's like a lattice. And this lattice is what's been created over time under the noses of humanity. Okay. And just like I was explaining in previous videos, AI, as in Archon AI, the enemy AI, whatever you want to call it, cannot create. Okay. So it cannot build its own dome. It's got to have the infrastructure put in place for it to be created for them. Okay. This is done through a mixture of 5G towers, which were put up during COVID. Many of you remember that, right? Wind turbines and chemtrails being sprayed from the sky. Okay, so these three in particular all work in unison. And I witnessed this on a flight to Portugal on purpose. It's like I was supposed to see it. So on one of our flight to one of our retreats, it was in April in Portugal. We took off, and I've had a theory for a long time that planes, when they're past this point here, and they're actually in the upper parts of the atmosphere, or whatever you want to call it, in the ether, that they actually run and they actually fly on the ley lines, the energetic ley lines that are in the actual sky, okay, which they call flight paths. So most commercial pilots will tell you that once they're up there to a certain point, they literally press a few buttons and they're pretty much on cruise mode. Why do you think it's called an airport? Because you're actually in a tin can going through a portal, one portal to the next portal, to the next portal, to the next portal, to a land where you land, right? And that is co-manifested because, funnily enough, if everyone on the flight has booked a flight to Mallorca, everyone knows that they're going to Mallorca. So it's a collective consciousness manifestation that you go through these portals and you land in Mallorca. Okay, that's how it works. If you buy a ticket to a comedian, you all know you're going to see that comedian. You all know you expect to see a chair there. That event is co-created by the collective. That's how this works. Okay, and this is part of the art of war. Our ability to create and co-create has always been known to the Cabal. Okay, they've studied the Kabbalah. They literally know us inside out way before we even did. And this is why this was allowed to be created under our noses. So, like I said before, AI can't create. Okay, it can only mimic, or it has to get something to build it for them. So who built all the 5G towers? Well, while we were in a lockdown, we were building them, right? Construction workers all around the country. Bosh, 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 bosh. Who builds the wind turbines? We do. The wind turbines are not designed to produce any form of energy whatsoever. Okay. Where they're installed, especially in the sea, and I've monitored this in the North Sea whilst I was in Scotland this week. I was watching how they all work, and I could totally get it. They create a lattice underneath the ground or in the sea, which completely distorts the fishing streams, the natural streams, and distorts the actual flow of the currents. Right? It also pumps out a very negative frequency onto the land and to the people. Okay, you don't see the frequency, do you? So you wouldn't even bat an eyelid. You only have to look at like all the ridge lines and all the skylines as well across the land to see that they've purposely placed them so that it just ruins the skyline. If you drive through Yorkshire, they're purposely placed everywhere with big power plants and pylons as far as you can see. Okay, completely takes your mind off the beautiful countryside and the land that we live on. But again, they're all doing a job. It's all to do with frequency. So these things work together, okay, to create a frequency that on a land level not only distorts your frequency and your harmonics within the body, okay, it plugs you in. It plugs you in to their false matrix. It plugs you in completely below this dome. Okay. So the chemtrails are sprayed through the sky. And I tested this because the whole sky was literally littered with these. And as soon as we broke through the clouds, I was watching my phone. As soon as we broke through the chemtrail clouds, my 5G network immediately switched off. Okay. So that shows you that the technology in the chemtrails, the chemicals, connects with the frequency of the 5G towers to keep this dome in place. Okay. So what all this is doing is negatively replicating our ancient technology. All of this does. This literally replaces our ancient technology with their technology, and we built it for them. Same for the oil rigs offline. We built the oil rigs. We bleed the earth. We dig the mines in Australia. We get people to dig for diamonds in Sierra Leone. It's all about bleeding the natural resources of the planet and getting us to do it for them. All right. So what happens to the land then? Well, the frequency of the land's totally distorted, and that's the point. As I mentioned in previous daily lives, especially around the national grid, the point is to keep us disconnected from the land, and that we're not receiving the wisdom, the remembrance, and all this kind of stuff. All right. Instead, we're pumped with endless frequency from 5G towers, the use of the wind farms. Okay. And obviously the 5G towers, etc., are what keeps people plugged into their phones, their cell phones, to keep the mind in a cell. All right. And that is why you see everywhere you go, every town center, right? Everyone just plugged in. Go and ask someone in a town center now to get a map out and try and get themselves to their destination. They won't be able to do it. Okay. They have to have a device in them. All right. The same technology that is constantly surveying people, knows exactly what you're thinking, markets the crap out of you, markets the crap out of your kids. All right. So that you keep buying into all their systems, all their influencers, all their media, etc., etc. So these weapons of choice all work together. So just like in the military, you don't just have like loads of soldiers like with assault rifles. You have artillery, you have air support, you have cavalry, you have all this kind of stuff, right? That all have a different role to play, but at the same time form the same battle group, right? This is exactly the same thing. The deep state battle group's weapons are chemtrails, 5G towers, wind turbines, pylons, just to name a few. Okay. And they all work together to create this illusionary dome. Okay. To keep everybody on the ground, on the land, stuck in a state of illusion that they can't see out of. And at the same time, you poison their food, you poison their water, you convince them that germ theory isn't a theory, that it is legit, that we pass viruses to each other. You train doctors and healthcare professionals in germ theory, and that they need to basically provide their medicine, which is another weapon. Okay. So your statins, that they all make money off, like all these kind of things, right? That's just constant. Using big pharma, using big tech, using big food, all right? All of them working in unison with the education system, with the medical system, with the judiciary system, etc., all to keep every single little person, man, woman, and child, inflamed, sick, full of negative frequency, and constantly returning as customers to keep this dome alive, to keep their plan going, which is to clearly enslave as many people as possible. And you only need to go to any town centre now in the UK and see how run down they all are, how sick everyone looks behind the eyes, how overweight people are, how overweight the population of kids are in this country. Okay, to see it all working as one big machine. Within this dome, you also have mind control. Okay, a mind virus. A virus which is designed to control the minds of certain people, their consciousness. And that is why we're seeing influencers, especially, attacking people. The reason why they're doing this is because humanity are awakening. Our children are awakening. They're reconnecting with this beautiful land. Okay. The land, Mother Earth, is purging. All right. So it's purging all these negative energies. And this is happening at a world level, galactic level, esoteric level. There's lots of different things that are aiding in this, all right, as well as you daily getting closer and closer to who you truly are. And when you know who you truly are, none of these frequencies can harm you. So all these frequencies work in unison, but only to a certain point. Okay. And the dome and the weapons are collapsed when humanity, just like in the Matrix, says no. And we take back our sovereignty. Okay. These frequencies then can't affect us. So just like in the movie The Matrix, when Neo says no, and then all those bullets stop, right? All these bullets. Okay, they all stop. Those bullets represent all these things, all these threats. Okay. Poison food, poison water, medicines, education system, indoctrination, fear, bailiffs, whatever you want to call it. Like all of these bullets represent all those things. And the minute we say no, and then we fully understand this, and then we fully understand that this has been put in place to stop us coming alive on this powerful land, reconnecting with our ancient technology, reconnecting with the ancient past of ourselves, the ancient wisdom, the ancient codes that we all have in our bodies, hence why we're here in the first place. Okay. When enough people realize that and come alive to that, this all collapses. Okay. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. That veil is being completely collapsed. Okay. Humanity is saying no. Humanity is saying, I don't want to live in this world that's been created for me anymore. All right. By trickery, deception, corruption, and lies to keep me plugged in to their systems and feeding them continuously whilst having my own energy and my mind completely harvested of everything. And that's why you're seeing in the open so many people who just look so dumbed down. All right. Yes, the COVID shots have had their part to play in that. Okay. They have. That's part of the design, is to completely shut off the third eye and people's connection to source, okay, through the crown. So this is why I've been speaking to people a lot recently about the importance of taking your sovereignty back, reconnecting with your crown, your king, and your dominion over your life. Okay, your kingdom, thy kingdom come. Okay, and that is now. Your kingdom is coming if you stay in these frequencies and deeper understandings of who you truly are, and you see the weapon systems, you see the enemy, right? And that's all you need to do. So when you see things, you can't unsee it. All right. And then what's beyond this? Okay. So once we collapse that, what's left? The ether. Okay. Suddenly, our ancient technology is doing its job. Okay. Our cathedrals, our free energy machines are suddenly reconnecting with the organic grid. Okay. It's connected to the organic grid in the ground. All cathedrals have water underneath them, etc., etc. It's connected to the sky, to the ether. Okay. And that is how free energy is produced and was always produced. Many of you have studied this, right? Tartarian history, Nikola Tesla's work, etc., right? It all works hand in hand. Suddenly, we don't need 5G towers. Okay. They can go, or they can be repurposed, because at the end of the day, they're frequency machines. So again, the art of war, if it was me in control, what I would be doing is occupying all of these 5G towers, creating a positive healing frequency and pumping that out to the masses so that people receive that very, very quickly if I was in charge. Obviously, the wind turbines, they've got to go. Trump's been saying it for ages, right? I was literally looking at them out in the sea. I could see exactly why they need to go. And if anyone's been to Trump's golf course, like I did the other day, and I went over the beach, you can literally see that where his land starts up to and then following that beach up north, there's no wind turbines. They literally start from the outer edges of the boundaries of that golf course and that land, and then start going south. Like I was literally watching it all. So like what they're putting out there and what they're saying is literally being exercised in real life. And it's because obviously what they do to the water, it's because what they do to everything else. And as I explained before, when they keep saying drill, baby, drill, all your gold and all your wealth is in the North Sea, it's because that's where it is. Our ancient technology is in the North Sea. And that's why the wind turbines and all the other shit that goes on and the tunnel systems, et cetera, is purely to distort the waters and the frequencies that come from where our ancient tech is. And that's what, again, going back to now, you'll probably realize and hopefully understand that's why, especially down the East Coast and the West Coast and around Salisbury Plain and like London and the South Coast, especially on this island, they're all targeted in certain different ways to dumb the people down so they don't reconnect with their lineages. All right. So they're not going into cathedrals and reconnecting with the energies and all this kind of stuff. Everyone's kept busy living in their own little box prisons on top of each other, sitting up late at night, watching the box, totally consuming absolute shit and crap, right? That's part of the agenda. So once we've got our ether back, okay, which is connected to, funny enough, the Magna Carta, there's a very, very important piece missing from the Magna Carta called the law of the ether, okay? And it was hidden by a group of people hundreds of years ago in Scotland, the original Holy Land. And it was hidden for a reason, okay? Because it's not a piece of paper, it's actually a powerful, powerful energy that is being activated right now. And as it's being activated, the ether is coming back online. Millions of you are coming back online. Your higher consciousness is raising so high, so quickly, so rapidly, day to day, that it's sometimes hard to even deal with it. Okay. It's making us shed all of this old stuff that was basically placed upon us by these nefarious weapon systems, these frequencies that have been put into our body, into our field, into our minds to make us good little robots. So that's why I wanted to discuss this today with my amazing grade A model that I've got here. So I ask you, if this all resonates, keep your eyes open. Everywhere you go now, look at all these things, where they're placed, why they're placed there, and see how they all worked with each other. And the more people see it, the more it's collapsed. Okay? Because you are all in essence saying, I see your weapons and I raise you my fucking trump card. That's it. And that's how this collapses. Then you go up a level, okay? Because just as I explained the other day in my last ceremony I sat in Portugal, the medicine was showing me this, my head hitting the ceiling of the dome, level 999, all right? Why do you think 999 emergency is the phone number for medical systems and et cetera in UK? Emergency, fear, death, all right? It's not about that. It's about level 999 is the top of the dome, all right? In this simulation, in this game, it's where the ether is. It's where all your ancient wisdom, the truths, your gifts, your powers, what you're all about, who you are. The information is all here in the ether, the ether. Okay. This is why so many people in the UK are bold. All right. Because of all the shit they've put in the food, the stress, everything else like that. All right. So that men lose their hair. So much cancer, and you can only have chemo. So people lose their hair. So we're not connecting to the ether. Okay. These are little wisdom strings, as I like to call them. It all works hand in hand, ladies and gents. Okay. And when you reach level 999, it doesn't mean you, like, oh, I've completed the game. Now I've got to stay here. And I'm stuck looking at all this profanity and all this ugliness and all this sickness and all this death and miserable people everywhere. Do you know what I mean? That's not what it's about. It's about understanding all of this fully, understanding your role, understanding the game itself. the simulation, understanding the darkness in full, understanding their weapons of choice, understanding how the beast system works, understanding how the AI machine works through people. Okay. And it can move from one person to another. When you see all this clearly, right, you have that clarity, your third eye's opened, you've decalcified it, right? All of this stuff is designed to calcify your pineal gland and keep you like a dumbed down little robot, all right? That's literally what it does, all of it. So the minute you break through those veils of illusion, those 7 veils of illusion that are in the third eye, you break through all of their fields every single day. And that is what doing the inner work really means. Okay. It's going inwards every single day because you have the codes. Okay. It's not for me to give you the codes. You already have the codes and you can activate them. And this is why I speak to everyone in our community about this all the time. Sit in meditation, focus on yourself right now. Okay. Don't keep focusing on other people's relationship problems, marital problems, this, that, and the other. That's surface level. And I mean this in a nice way, 3D bullshit, right? It's all surface level stuff, okay, that's designed to keep you plugged in. All right. We came here to feel all the emotions in the body. It's part of our role, it's part of this human experience. So, breakups, loss, grief, sadness, anger, like all these kind of things are all supposed to be felt within the body by us as part of our journey. Okay. So we don't need to keep focusing on and give all that stuff all our attention. What we need to give our attention to is our role, our gifts, and the codes that we carry. Okay. So if you're seeing 999 everywhere, your universe is telling you you're at completion. Sit the fuck down, start breathing, and start going inwards and ask for your codes. Okay. Because millions of you have the codes to collapse all this shit. That's why you're here, myself included. Millions of you have the codes for the EBS, all right, which isn't like as people have been portraying. The EBS is within you, the emergency broadcast system. Emergency 999 broadcast heart system. Okay, that's what it is. Stop waiting now for something to come up on your phone or the TV or the radio or whatever it is, fake media, to tell you there's an emergency broadcast system. The emergency broadcast system is activated within you. It's in your heart, your earth. Yeah. And when you activate them, guess what happens? It activates loads. This is why I've done all this work on myself. Yeah. And then obviously all the realizations and integrating all this information and then sharing it with everybody else is all that's part of my role. Okay. To create this broadcast, to use my channel, right? To be the channel, to use my channel. So this is why I'm sharing all this information with you, because you all have the codes, all of you deep inside. So if you've seen certain numbers all the time, 111, 222, 777, 888, 999, or whatever that means to you, your universe is constantly giving you the codes you need to sit with in meditation and speak, because that's what then activates that within your being. Okay, which is that is what projects you, okay, to higher states of consciousness and new earth in your reality. So I hope that makes sense, ladies and gents. I didn't want to drag it out too long because it can be a bit of a mindfuck. But I hope that what I've gone through today resonates. If it does resonate with you, please share your feedback. It's important for me, doing these daily videos, that I get some kind of feedback from people. If it's helping them, if it's actually helping awakening them even further, if it's giving them lots more valuable information, things that they can move on with day to day, or something that's really landed and hit home, that suddenly you're like, oh shit, that's what I need to do. That stuff really helps, because it's for you. It's not for me. Like, all this information fucking is being belt fed to me like you couldn't imagine, from the minute I wake up in the morning and through the night to the minute I go to bed. Okay, because it's for you. This is why we've built a community, so that we can actually help everybody going through these process. And I try to keep it as simple as possible with the use of diagrams. I've always loved the whiteboard. I think it's a bit of a military thing / teacher, right? And that's all I'm here to do, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not here to have a go at you. I'm not here to call you an idiot. I'm not here to call you a communist or a fucking trafficker, right? I'm here to share the codes and the wisdom that I have and I repeatedly get all day, every day with you guys, because they're not for me to keep hold of. I could sit in my back garden with my feet up like that under my apple tree going, oh, this life's awesome. 999 completed it, mate. That's not what it's about. The medicine was very strict with me when it said you need to bring people up to this level 999 through education, knowledge, and wisdom. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's sesh. I'm off to the gym to get Jai massive and work again. It's all part of working on yourself. Okay, keeping yourself strong, keeping yourself fit, keeping yourself as much as you can away from all these toxins and shit frequencies and stuff like that. Don't get caught up in the whole like, oh, I need to do it all, because your life will look very different and that's not your path. Have an understanding and a knowing about all of this stuff and how it all works together, because that's all I'm trying to do each day, is give you chunks of information that you can use for your jigsaw piece in your jigsaw puzzle. It's as simple as that. Go and smash the day, ladies and gent. Go and connect your codes. Okay. If you're going to take anything from today, sit in meditation. Okay. And if you're struggling for meditation and you don't know how to meditate and stuff like that, join our community. Use our meditation library. Ask me and I'll send you some meditations, all that kind of stuff. I know part of my role is the vibration in my voice activates a lot of things in people. Funny enough, my voice is my main asset, right? Whether it's lives, meditations, talks, podcasts, whatever it is. So I know that the vibration of my voice has an effect on people for a reason, to activate codes. So sit in meditation today where you can, and just ask for your codes. They're yours. Okay. Bring your codes forwards, because it's you that activates them. We're not here to sit around waiting for codes to be activated in us by other people, influencers, or a freaking TV program or whatever that may be. Okay. We're here to do the job ourselves, on ourselves. Right. And you will absolutely receive your rewards when you do this work. Much love, ladies and gents. Love you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you tomorrow, where I want to talk deeply about true sovereignty and how we reclaim it. Much love.